Yo, 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 what up, Bellingham and the interwebs? It is your host and headmaster of the GQAzndood Gaming Academy, GQAzndood. What is up? It is blazing hot here in Bellingham, Washington, in our corner of the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to keep it a little light tonight because I don't know if we can stand in this heat or even sit in this heat because it's so dang hot. But what also is hot is the show tonight. Of course, we got another great episode for you. Ace is here with me because tragically Lee is still too busy being a dad, so that's all good. But I don't know if you saw the name of the episode tonight. It is called "Respect the Cooldown" because man, with this kind of heat, I wish it would cool down. So, welcome back, gamers and guardians of the grind. So, it is your host, GQAzndood, on Class 38. And tonight, we're doing more than just spamming our best moves. We're learning when to step back, breathe, and respect the cooldown. That's right. We've got a fully loaded show tonight. We're jumping into this week in gaming history as always, rewinding to the classics like Banjo-Kazooie, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Star Fox 64, and a whole bunch of other bangers. And of course, I have my partner here, Blazing Ace Nelson, to break down all those games with us because we're no tech tonight. He did cover all that last week, so check out episode 37 for Wendigo Blue, and of course, we're here to just add to the discourse and chat about stuff. And if there's something that that was privy to your eyes during the week, please let us know in chat. And if you are a regular here, welcome. And it's also good to chat. Anyway, we've also been pretty busy about catching up and playing some of our games here. So we'll kind of talk about that. And now playing is a segment that we never really jumped into, but hopefully we'll do a little bit of that tonight. And of course, we're going to close it all out with going in with the final boss wisdom, where I remind you why some of the strongest move is to stop and recharge before your next big combo. Okay, so grab your potions, sharpen up those thumbs, and let's get this XP grind started for tonight. Of course, let us introduce my partner in crime here, part two of the Double Dragon, Blazing Ace Nelson. What up?
Hey, what's good, everybody? Great to see you back, man. Okay, as hot as it is out here, and look at me, I'm
Man, stealthed out right now too.
don't mind me. But now I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into chopping it up with everybody this week. It's going to be a nice uh, I guess you could call it something of a palate cleanser. Just something nice and light, something to keep it chill, something to hopefully help not just us but the rest of y'all cool down as well. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, especially when you consider like if you want to summarize what tonight's topic is all about. It's as simple as this: rest is also an important part of training. Keep that in
Yep.
mind.
Hence why we're keeping it light. So it is going to be a shorter week this week for a lot of people. It is 4th of July is coming up, of course. I would like to know if you're in chat right now, what 4th of July game do you typically play as to celebrate 4th of July? Because I know I play some sort of Call of Duty game, like the story mode of it, right? I personally like going back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, Call of Duty 4, technically. The story mode to that is like playing the movie The Rock. You've seen the movie The Rock, right? You know,
Mhm.
with Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage. I have a soft spot for that story mode in my heart for that game. So it's kind of like what brought Call of Duty to I guess the mainstream and everybody like jumping into it. But before the craziness of multiplayer, I think they were pretty spot on the single player content as well. It made you feel like you're playing an action movie. So unfortunately, I don't think we've felt that way for a long time though with Call of Duty. They're
I feel
focusing a lot of
that.
free to play stuff. So
Yeah, my Fourth of July go to Broforce.
which one?
Broforce.
Bro, oh yeah, Bro Force. I thought you were gonna say Metal Wolf Chaos because that's Fourth of July AF. Yeah. So
I still need to get that Wolf Chaos.
it should be relatively accessible, like Steam, and like it should be pretty cheap. I know the physical copy is hard to get, but like the digital one should be pretty easy. So, but yes, I don't know. Do you have any holiday plans this weekend, or just a 4th of July plan?
I'm working.
Oh, you're working? Okay. Yeah, I just have Friday off, and
Yeah, I mean, I usually take Fridays off from streaming anyway, so like pretty much as soon as I'm done with work on Friday, I'm probably gonna come home and sit in front of the fridge and try not to fry.
yeah, that's a good plan. That's a good plan. Yeah, I don't
But
really want to do much either.
in the meantime, though, I did head over to Walmart and pick up some catfish, so I'm probably gonna cook that up for the fourth.
Okay, all right. Barbecue over the weekend.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let me make sure this
That's,
camera is good. Okay, I think we're good there.
but yeah,
Uh,
other than that, not much I can really think of going down at the very least on Friday, but Saturday, Saturday I'm gonna stream like usual.
Yep.
The old sit down. But yeah, that's my weekend. Not a
Yep.
lot going on.
Sounds like you are also on a cooldown.
Yep.
Well, guys, that seems to be the theme for tonight, and of course, it's always great to cool down, but we'll cover a little bit more of that later. But right now, let's take a little trip back in time, of course, to everyone's favorite segment, this week in gaming history. Here,
Let's do it.
let's pop that up. Now, here we go. Beautiful. Oh god, I love you. Never gets old. But yes, if it's your first time on the channel, this segment is called This Week in Gaming History, where we go back in time a week. I believe we go from Sunday through Saturday of the stream to talk about the games that were released and the games that mattered to us because we have experience with said games. So let's just get this game started. And if you have games that you've remembered during this time frame, please let us know in chat. We'd love that. But first things first, back in June 29th on a Sunday, Marvel 2 came out on a Dreamcast in the year 2000. How cool was it to have an arcade level quality game, fighting game, in your house without having to buy an arcade machine?
Man.
Because Marvel was the game of 2000s, man. That shaped a lot of people's like arcade experience, and
Mhm.
I also think just in general, like Capcom and Marvel experience. Like let's be real quick right here. Michael B. Jordan tweeted that Capcom needed to bring back Marvel 2. Michael B. Jordan, y'all.
Right?
That's how popular and how ingrained Marvel 2 has been in our pop culture, in our culture. So that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Um
it's wild to think that a game like Marvel 2 has had the kind of reach that it has.
yeah, and I think you know what, whenever you have a game that's like man, how do I put this? Marvel 2 was like peak Capcom because it started with what? X-Men Children of the Atom, right? Then we got Marvel superheroes. Then we got Marvel superheroes versus no X Men versus Street Fighter. Then we got Street Fighter versus Marvel superheroes, right? Something like that.
Yep.
And then we got Marvel versus Capcom. Then we got Marvel versus Capcom 2. And every time they reiterated those fighting games, there were like characters missing, there were characters added. But Marvel was like, no, let's put all of them in there. Let's put all of them. And so I
Mhm.
think this is why this is peak Capcom because they were like, this is it. Like, I don't think we're gonna make another one, so let's just bring everybody from all our projects into one,
You
right?
you could legit say that the Marvel fighting games from Capcom in the 90s, leading up to Marvel 2, were, you know, the MCU before the MCU.
That is facts.
Because
Like,
counting up, again, just counting up the Marvel games from X Men versus Street Fighter to Marvel superheroes. Then you got Children of the Atom, then Marvel superheroes, then X Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Street Fighter, Marvel 1, Marvel 2, Episode 6. That
yeah.
right there was basically Marvel and Capcom Endgame.
I think it would have been cool if they were like they represented a gem for each game and then in Marvel 2 they actually had like, the final boss, which not I'm not trying to take away from, anything from Abyss, the final boss of Marvel 2, right? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like, who the hell is Abyss, when they're a Marvel fan or Capcom fan
Uh-huh.
during that time. But I thought it would have been really dope if like Onslaught, Apocalypse, and then there was one more, right?
Oh God.
Had fused together to like be the ultimate bad guy, right? That would have been pretty cool. Or like a character from Capcom and Marvel combined in Marvel 2 as the villain, right? Like kind
Right?
of like what they did with Marvel Infinite, where they did Sigma and Ultron.
Yeah, like have Apocalypse and Onslaught fighting you as a team first,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Then fuse
then
them together. Oh,
then do the fusion. Man.
bro. I
That
mean,
would be
that in itself sounds a nightmare. Onslaught and Apocalypse.
nuts.
Stop. I don't like that. Andre, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. But
That's
yeah,
good.
we recently just got the Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection, which and that was thanks to you guys and the internet and the fans out there. You guys made that happen. You guys made your voices very clear, very loud, along with Michael B. Jordan, right? That they wanted Marvel 2 back, and they listened. And I don't know how they did it, because for a while Marvel 2 was kind of like tucked away as a one-up arcade machine, but there was no plans to redistribute it as in a digital form or any way, yet alone a physical form. So I don't know. They found a reason to re-release everything, and now we have the compilation of all the Marvel games of that era, which is super cool. And they gave you the Punisher beat 'em up, which is like even like a greater bonus.
Right.
I mean, the only thing that was missing is Aliens versus Predator, but that's a whole different can of worms right there. So, but I would
Yeah,
love to see that return.
I'm still mad that AVP is pretty much relegated to that arcade state.
Yeah, that random like peripheral that's like not really available for anybody. But hey, AVP is now Disney. The Alien Queen is not a Disney princess, so we never know. Like we may get that sooner or later, like as a just a digital download randomly, not any part of compilation. So that'd be kind of cool. So
One can hope.
yeah. All right. Well, if tell us your Marvel versus Capcom 2 stories in the chat if if you have one, because I know mine is that's actually probably how I met a majority of my friends when I first moved over. Ace was working at the arcade. I met my friend Vishal. I met Andrew. We're all playing Tekken 5 and Marvel 2 at the local arcade.
Yep.
I used to go there and just like, on my breaks and play. And, we'd be like, oh, that's a cool team. Oh, I never seen anybody play that. Like, and that's how you make friends at the arcade. You play them and, you're not a douchebag. So
I'm, I'm trying to remember which one of us was it that first started doing the Colossus and Juggernaut team ups?
that definitely wasn't me, but I'm pretty sure that had to do with Andrew.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because he was like the big boy team, Team Chungus, like stuff like that, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. And of course, only Jay Wong could make that team viable and amazing. So pretty cool. All right. Well, other games that came out that day was Air Combat on the PlayStation in 1995. Actually, huge fan of Air Combat, and eventually it went to like what it was Ace Combat, right? And now it's like a staple in an Namco library as well. Banjo-Kazooie on the N64 in 1998, Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast, along with Marvel, came out in 2000 in Japan. Final Fantasy Chronicles on PlayStation in 2001. That one came with FF4 and I think Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
Just super good. I was a really odd combination. I was like, why did you pick these two games to be together?
Right. It was an odd combination, but then the fact that this was also the first time that we got the really cool animated cutscenes in Chrono Trigger.
Dude, yeah, some could argue that was the complete version of Chrono Trigger. I think the only thing that was people were bothered by is the loading time when you made an encounter. Right, it had like little odd pause on it because it's a disc. So
Yeah.
unfortunate, but I feel like if you re-release that in the digital format, it would be so much better now, right?
Seriously,
So
especially if the version that's released is the one with the content from the DS.
yes, yes. I would love a complete Chrono Trigger, like a like not whatever compilation or remaster, just whatever. What I would really enjoy, and this is kind of interesting. Actually, let me finish this. 99 Nights on the 360 in 2010, and also Inside on the Xbox One on 2016 from the makers of Limbo. If you guys played Limbo, check out Inside as well. And a sequel to 99 Nights in 3-2. I think I have it right here, which is like, I was like, wow, I actually have a copy of that. I did not see that coming. So we talked about 99 Nights last time on stream, which was like a anime fantasy Dynasty Warriors. Look at this cover.
Mm-hmm.
It goes hard.
Yeah, I remember picking that one up and playing it for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so check that one out. Yeah, I was saying that like I think what would be really cool instead of like, because I know everybody wants like a Chrono Trigger in that Dragon Quest style art, right? Because that's ideally what it would look like in modern day. But I think our Arc System Works would be great too. But I think a demake of Chrono Cross in the form of Chrono Trigger would be also super cool.
Huh.
A lot of people don't think that, but I think a demake of Chrono Cross, like broken down to like the Super Nintendo sprites, I think that would be more, I guess, in honor of Chrono Trigger, right? I think that would be more fun, in my personal opinion. So that's something to think about, chat. If y'all were doing that, Squall Shade said Inside was an enjoyable story. It was a very creepy one, from what I recall. So enjoyable, questionable is more like it.
Mm-hmm.
Hot take: Chrono Trigger is not actually that good of a game. Wow, you're in the wrong stream, bro. Debatable. I'd love to hear why. All right, we'll move on to the next day. All right, on the 30th, the first Descendant had released, and I remember seeing this on trailers for the PlayStation, and it was action packed. There was definitely like some anime Japanese inspired design to the characters, and I was like, "What kind of game is this?" Because they were showing cutscenes, right? In-game cutscenes, by the way, they were really good. They were really like good quality, but they never really showed the gameplay till like almost at the last trailer. And then I think I was like, "Oh, it's like Destiny," but like not. And I think I was like, "It's like Destiny Warframe." Is that a
Funny.
pretty accurate description?
Yeah, yeah, pretty accurate. Imagine Warframe with less of a focus on melee.
Less of a focus on melee. Okay. Yeah,
Now,
so you play this game, and I know you play it a lot. So tell
yeah.
us a little bit about it.
Funny enough, the First Descendant is actually celebrating its first anniversary, and they're having a first anniversary live stream right now. But yeah, as far as the game itself, I mean, again, this is another game that I found through my endless quest to find random free to play games that I could use to occupy my time. When I first tried out the beta for the First Ascendant a couple years back, I had a lot of fun with what I played. Again, personal gripe, I couldn't go around punching everything because I want to punch things. Even in a looter shooter, I want to punch things.
You need a gun that shoots boxing gloves.
but funny enough, I actually found out that there are certain alternate attacks that you can do that basically count as melee, and one of them is actually you can use the grappling hooks that you have. You can grapple onto an enemy, and if you have the sub attack for using kicks, you will do a straight up full on flying drop kick from the grappling hook.
Oh, cool. Is that new tech, or was that day one tech?
That tech's been in from the beginning.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Just something cool. that not a lot of people really realized or utilized until recently.
Yeah. So like my thing with like games like this, right? It's always been like these games are a time sink because they're very grindy, because they're free to play and they fight for your attention.
Yep.
So I guess like since you play both Warframe and the First Ascendant, and I know you've been playing Warframe longer, right? You've been a long-term Warframe guy. What would cause, I guess this would be a two-part question. Why would somebody choose the First Descendant over Warframe is my first question, right? What makes it different if you're already playing Warframe? And two, is it like, um, if you are a Warframe player, would you enjoy the First Descendant?
I can answer. I can answer the second question pretty easily. The answer to that being yes. If you're a Warframe player and you are getting into the First Ascendant for the first time, it's it's almost like it's almost like picking Warframe back up with a lot. You know, there are a lot of systems in the First Ascendant that are analogous to Warframe. So you know, if you manage to pick up on that, then you're pretty much already hitting the ground running. As far as what would make someone choose the First Ascendant over Warframe, I think it's really a matter of personal taste as far as visual design elements. Because with Warframe, it's very much it's closer to hard sci-fi, right?
Mm.
The visual aesthetic is closer to hard sci-fi. The gameplay is actually you know a lot more a lot more fast paced, a lot more acrobatic. Whereas with the First Descendant, if you're looking for something that's, like you said earlier, a little bit closer to Destiny as far as greater focus on gunplay and utilizing your munitions as well as your character's abilities, but you know you don't want to deal with a lot of the unfortunate baggage that has come with Destiny, then the First Descendant would be a pretty solid pickup.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah, for sure.
And on top of that, just like Warframe, it's free to play.
Can't argue with that. The price is great. The only price you're giving is your time.
Right.
That's
There is one thing I have to say though.
well, yeah.
Even though there are a lot of comparisons that can be made between the First Descendant and Warframe, because the developers have actually taken a good amount of inspiration from Warframe for some of the systems and some of the design that they put into the First Descendant, it's still in a lot of ways not the most fair comparison because there is one thing that Warframe has over the First Descendant. Like one thing that Warframe immediately has over the First Descendant. Tenure. Warframe's been around since 2013. They've had going on 13 years now to refine not just the tech, not just the optimization, but also the content and how the content and even the in-game economy is handled. Right.
Hmm.
The First Descendant is kind of starting behind the starting line, largely because number one, they're published by Nexon. We all know Nexon doesn't have the best reputations.
They love your money.
So there is that. And again, secondly, since they're trying to do their own thing, they're still in Warframe's shadow. So you know there can be some valid criticisms made for the First Descendant, but I think that folks would actually enjoy the game a lot more if they look at it pretty much from the standpoint of you know the First Descendant still the new kid on the block. There's still going to be some growing pains, and you gotta at the very least give it time to breathe. Every time a new content, every time some new content hits, you know, that's that's like the developers, boom, putting their best moves at the time out there. Now you got to give it time for the cooldown, give it time for the content to solidify, and the folks that still enjoy it, like myself, will keep coming back. The more that keeps getting released, we may bring back some lapsed players. We may bring in some new folks. It's that ebb and flow that the First Descendant has only had a year to engage compared to Warframe's 13.
I mean, if First Descendant was smart, they would have been taking notes from all the Warframe history, right? Be like, what works with them, what doesn't work with them, and kind of just replicating that. I call it R&D, rip off and duplicate, right? But yeah, I would argue that yeah, if anything, First Ascendant would be successful because they learned stuff from Warframe, like you said, because they have the tenure, right? So I agree with that 100%. So let's see here. Well, do not buy list. Well, it's not. You don't have to buy it. It's free. That's what it is. All right, other games that were released that day. Let's see here. Go back here. Arc the Lad on the PlayStation in 1995 in Japan. Azure Dreams on the PlayStation in 1998. This was the year of like JRPGs. I swear, like this era. Driver, not a JRPG, on the PlayStation in 1999. Pokemon Snap on the N64 in 1990. And I know a lot of people. I think Blue plays this. Blue Right on chat plays this. Call of Juarez, Bound in Blood. I came on in basically every 7th-gen console, PC 2009. And Crash Bandicoot Trilogy, Insane Trilogy, came out on the PS4 in 2017. That was the remaster of 1, 2, and 3, which was a great remaster. To a great callback to that era. So super cool. All right. Azure Dreams was top tier. Also very expensive to have because they have not reprinted it as well. So kind of crazy. All right. So on the 1st of July here, we're finally hitting July. We got Dino Crisis coming out on the PlayStation in 1999 in Japan.
That's classic.
Mm-hmm. It's like what? No, when I first saw this game, it literally was, what if we put dinosaurs instead of zombies in a Resident Evil game, right? Because we all know Jurassic Park, yeah, dinosaurs are scary. So like that's kind of that's kind of what the marketing was for this game. Resident Evil style, because that was popular at the time, right? Pre-rendered backgrounds with like weird angles, tank controls, right? Jump scares, but instead of zombies, there's dinosaurs that would kill you. But I actually watched Max from Yo Video Games play this game, and I was like, wow, that's a lot more detailed than I remembered it to be. Like you can combine like ammo. Like I guess there was a little bit of that in Resident Evil, but like you can there's a crafting system in Dino Crisis. I don't know if you remember that or played it. And there were like multiple choices in the adventure. Like you choose to go with this person or that person, and that would change your route, right? So they were definitely expanding on Resident Evil 2 and 3, and and we didn't really what do you call this? We haven't really heard much from Dino Crisis from Capcom, except for our little gem Exo Primal. Right? That in itself is a Dino Crisis, and it's almost like a slap in the face because like the theme of the game is literally a Dino Crisis, right? But it's not Dino Crisis at all. But they even gave us a character that looked like the protagonist of number 1, Regina.
Right.
So they know what they're doing. I just wish that they would come back to the series, give us like a RE like 2 remake, like I guess like treatment to this game.
Oh man!
Or how would they? How would you like to see them come back?
No, I would. Yeah, honestly, I feel like how Capcom has done the remakes for RE2, 3, and 4. Please do that for Dino Crisis.
Yeah, I think they have enough like technique. They have the RE engine, right? They can make something out of this game, and they can make it. I don't know. Even if they even wanted to do Dino Crisis 4, right? It could be. It's possible, right? They don't even have to do a remake of the first one. But I would appreciate a Dino Crisis collection because there is 1, 2, and 3 that was on the Xbox that no one knows about. And that was Dinos in Space. So that got really weird, But yeah, and then I just hope Capcom doesn't forget about Dino Crisis. I know fans are kind of clamoring for it, but right now they're working through their library. Like and let's be real, we're being spoiled by Capcom right now. They're giving us Onimusha, they're giving us Okami back, right? Like they know that we're buying this stuff, so they're just slowly progressing through it. And we're also getting the new Mega Man game called Pragmata. So if you ever played Pragmata, it feels like a Mega Man game. So check that out if you can. But yes, other games that come out on the 1st of July. The OG Duke Nukem on the PC in 1991. Not Duke Nukem 3D, but the side scroller 2D one.
Uh-huh.
It came out in 1991. The OG. The OG of King of the Monsters on Neo Geo in 1991. Because a couple episodes ago we talked about King of the Monsters 2, but this one is the first one, which I think I'd like to play on stream because like I think I like King of the Monsters and it's like a kaiju battle game, so I'll check that out. Go back to it.
Oh,
Streets of Rage 3 came out on the Genesis in 1994. Another game where I'm like, man, you know what I want to see, Ace? Another Final Fight, but like high res 2D art. I'm talking like AVP levels of animation. Like just lots of frames and stuff like that.
yes.
And because we got our Street of Rage 4, and I'm kind of jelly that Capcom hasn't made a beat 'em up yet. To like,
Well, I mean that Capcom hasn't made a beat 'em up yet, but let us remember the the community of fans surrounding these games is pretty damn talented.
that's
And
true.
we got some people out there saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Putting on the glove, the Infinity Glove, and saying, hey, you know what? I'll do it myself.
And you know what? I'll try and find the download link for it and post it up on the Discord. But the the project this guy's currently working on, Fight Forever,
Mhm.
it is absolutely fantastic. I mean, in the demo we've already got. Let's see, we've already got Guy, Cody, Carlos, Maki, Hagar, Final Fight 3, Mayor of Earth, Hagar. Somehow, this guy decided to do a 3-in-1 character of Ken, Ryu, and Akuma.
Just this Team Shoto in one character.
Yep. And then added in Astro the freaking Scorpion from Saturday Night Slam Masters.
That guy was the
And,
coolest. That was my
and
character.
they all play fantastic. Like I said, I will dig up the link and I will throw it in the Academy Discord so folks can download it. Man, you look at this and go, hire this man, Capcom.
Also, you brought up Saturday Slam Masters, man. Bro, that's another series that was super hyped from them, and we just never heard it. Like
If if
think
if
about.
if we get Saturday Night Slam Masters and it plays like anything remotely close to like a combination of that and WWE All Stars or like
Oh
WWE
yeah,
All Stars Def Jam Fight for New York, I'm in.
yeah. And what's funny is like I'm gonna blow your mind right now. So there's actually a strange correlation between the character intros to Saturday Slam Masters, right? When the characters walk in the ring. Now look at Street Fighter 6 character intros when they walk in the ring. It's almost very similar. Like the director was like, "We're gonna take this from what we did with this game and make it more up to date." So I
I
would
can
love to see Slam Master treatment with SF6 graphics. That'd be so sick. So yeah, that was a game title I was not expecting to hear tonight. I was like, what? Yeah, that was crazy.
That's what I do.
All right, Star Fox 64 on the N64 in 1997. Great 64 game. And also Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess on PC came out in 2024. Speaking of Capcom, and if you like the like World of Okami style, like kind of like the Japanese mythology, along with like, how do I put this? Tower defense? That's literally what it is. Tower defense like genre. Kunitsugami is a great title for you. So Okami style world aesthetics, like Japanese mythology, mixed with tower defense, right? Check out the demo for Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. And I think you may like a game. You may like that game. I played the demo and I enjoyed it thoroughly. So I feel like I played, like, when I played it, I was like, I feel like I'm playing a PS2 game, but that wasn't a bad thing. It was just a video game, right? A straight video game, no BS.
Mhm.
All right. July 2, we have the release of Street Fighter EX2 Plus, not Alpha, but EX2 Plus. Came out in the arcade in 19 In 99. I know you've been talking about this game. I don't know if you've actually you were talking about playing this game on your stream. Have you had time to do that?
Yeah, I did actually sit down and play it stream it for a little bit. Hell, if anything, I'll probably throw that up on. You know what? July 2nd. That's tomorrow. What the hell? We'll celebrate the anniversary of Street Fighter EX2 Plus by playing it on stream. Why not?
And you got to pick Guile.
But Street Fighter EX2 Plus was, that right there is one of those games where I didn't get the chance to play EX2 Plus in the arcades, but I did play EX2, and this was again at around the same time at the same arcade back in San Bernardino where I was also meeting up with friends as we were getting into playing Marvel 2, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, KOF, KOF 99, Ninja Masters. Like this was around the time where I feel like arcades were still pretty much in their heyday leading up to basically leading up to 2000. But I do have a lot of memories of EX2 greatly from just again from the people that I played in the arcades on EX, and then when I saw that EX2 Plus had actually come out on PlayStation,
Yeah.
that's when I went and picked it up for myself, and seeing that intro right there, you and Sagat 3D, oh, it's still
You know what I know this is like a really weird like feel, right? Feel and thought and opinion. But and maybe people on chat will agree or disagree with me, but I always felt like I got more value of my video game back in the day in comparison to now. And this is the reason why. One of the reasons, aside from owning the complete game, because there's no DLCs, right? And it's a hard copy, physical copy. I always felt that the companies that made these games made an extra effort for the console version to be better, so you can buy them, and also at the same time, like it was like you're getting the arcade experience at your house, while as we don't have that feeling anymore. We're like because the the console graphics and game and hardware has caught up to the arcade, right? And so during this time of like the late 90s, even I would say arguably early 90s all the way to like 2000s, early 2000s, the games that you got at home were, you were finally getting the experience of the arcade experience at your house, minus the hardware and controls of the, but you could also fix that with getting a fight stick. But you were able to get arcade quality games now at your house, and this was a time where like that was just starting, because before console ports were inferior to the arcade. This was very common in the 1632-bit era, but now we're like this is amazing, 64-bit, and you got more content in the console version, right? I remember like Namco is really good at that. When we got Tekken 3, we got like Tekken Ball, we got Tekken Force, right? So
like them. Namco was amazing with offering extra content on the home releases of their games. Like
yeah.
even like I would dare say all the way up to Tekken 5 and Soul Calibur 3.
Yeah, and I think even Harada said that like only recently in Tekken 7, where they started Tekken 7 for the home console first, then they made an arcade of it. But every Tekken before that was arcade first, then home console. So there was like that's why like the DLC and the content was a little bit weird on 7, and you can tell it's shifted a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because of that reason. So it is what it is, man. It's just times are changing. Times are changing. Yeah. I would definitely love to see some gameplay of this. And what was the secret character in this game?
The secret characters in EX2 Plus, I believe, were let's see,
Was it like Ultra Garuda or something? I can't remember.
yeah, Yeah, there's a Ultra Garuda. Let's see, I think there was a Super Bison in that one as well.
Super Bison. Was Riot Ken in this one? Or
No,
no, okay.
nope,
Riot
just
Ken was
he
actually
was just
invented by SNK.
yeah,
He was a what?
he was just in SVC Chaos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was invented by SNK, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, also, what's his name? That one samurai dude, Hayate.
Hayato?
Yeah, Hayato. Yeah, he was actually a secret character in the on the arcade caps for EX2.
No way. That's pretty cool. Put a Star Gladiator character in there. I think that's fun. I think like like putting a character from another game of the same company is fun in a as a secret character. We've been an extra fight, right? You know how like back in the day where they used to like
Oh,
trick us with like
speaking of extra
getting
fights,
5 perfects in a row.
that's yeah. Speaking of extra fights, that's who the other two secret characters were: Kyrie and Shadowgeist.
Kyrie was a secret character?
In EX2, yeah, because he was all basically like a a Satsui no Hado variant of himself.
Gotcha.
You know, had, he also had like his level 3 super was this like it was pretty much a Marvel versus Capcom beam. It did amazing damage, but it also drained his health and then put him into like a dragon install type state.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like Kyrie, like mastered Kyrie or something like that.
Yep. And
All
Shadowgeist, I mean, come on. A heel Skullomania? How can you
Whoa, what is this? All right. None of that. No.
ads?
Yep. Can't escape. All right. Some other games that came out that day, and we're looking pretty light here. Summer back in the day was not a good day, or not a good season for video game releases, guys. A lot of the times during like the 2000 all the way to like I think I would say late 2010s. Summer was really light on releases because that was when most devs were getting ready for the fourth quarter release to release their games for holidays. Because a lot of people will buy their games during the fourth quarter or third quarter. So summer by trend was actually quite slow. So there was not a lot of don't expect a lot of releases coming out around this time. So, for example, on the second, the other 3 games that were released that worth to mention, I think, Trine on the PC in 2009. Like Trine, have you ever played Trine, Ace? That's that 3-player co-op game where one's like a knight, one's like a wizard, and one's like a rogue.
Yeah, I heard about it, just hadn't played.
Okay, yeah, that it's and they made like 4 of those games. Crazy. There's here. Okay, Zenless Zone Zero. Right, that came out last year, so that was like, like a Genshin Impact, like another one of those type of games. It's a gotcha game. But a game that's officially abandonware. I don't know if you noticed this on my list, but the Punisher No Mercy on the PS3 in 2009. Do you even remember that game?
Last Punisher game I remember playing was the one on PS2.
Check this out. So this was an arena shooter that nobody played. Let's see if I can even find any gameplay.
Huh.
It was locked on the PlayStation 3 digital store. And it was just composed of like Punisher characters in like a Quake 3 combat style. Yeah, nobody played this game. And it was shut down after like a year. Right? So like you can play as Punisher, you can play as Jigsaw, the Punisher villains. I don't even remember too much of the game, honestly, but it was a very like generic Unreal like 3 game. Call of Duty. They were banking off Call of Duty and with using the Punisher license. Hey, look at this. It's pretty straightforward. And it's very arcadey, right? Arcadish. It is officially dead. You cannot download this game. You cannot play this game. I think last time I heard about this game, Matt McMuscles knew somebody in Chicago that like actually started his own server just to play this game. right? And yeah,
Huh.
people went a lot went out of their way to get this game working so they can play it, locally or whatever. But yeah, this
Well,
game
I
was
mean that right there to keep things topical. That right there is actually part of the reason behind the whole "Stop Killing Games" movement,
yeah.
and that whole initiative that's going on in Europe right now, and the petition that's going around.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean the core of it is just like not to like jump into this like overtly complicated topic with a lot of nuance. The core of it is really like are when we buy something, do we actually own it is the first thing of all. And two is like we can't and if we own it, you should give us agency to make what do you call this? Um adjustments to the game. Like it's our game now, right? And they don't have to support it, right? I own because that way you own it. I think that's the complexity of having online games, but I feel like if we for some reason, and I would love to hear this from anybody, um, if I think Pirate Software talked about it a little bit. If they just turned off the online mode and have it accessible with like local or have our own host our own servers, why not? But that's of course companies wanting control over the game, right? Nintendo is a big problem with that one. So anyway, that's a whole different topic. A little bit more complicated, but let's focus more on this game history. All right. So the next one
Mhm.
here, I was actually a huge fan of this game. Back in the day, so Super Bowling had come out in 1992 in Japan, but I will pull up some gameplay of Super Bowling, and I'll tell you why this game is fun. I actually rented this game
Well,
numerous times as a kid.
it's bowling. Of course, it's going to be fun. Why do you think Tekken has a separate mode for it?
Right? Uh, I
I mean,
think
heck, they even put a bowling mini game in Monster Hunter.
that's true. That's
Come
true.
on.
I just remember playing this game because of the artwork as well as a kid, right? Because art's super important. And I actually this is both the US and the Japanese box art. I want to show you the differences there. But let's see if I can pull up super boating. Let's see. All right,
Oh, there we go.
check that out. Uh isn't that fun? Look at this artwork. So
How
as a
nice can you get?
yeah, right. As a kid, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, it's not just like your standard like for example, Pilot Wings has like zero art aesthetic,
Uh-huh.
right? It was very generic, but this had like character to it. Look at this background. Look at that guy, right? Look at that. Look at that diversity. So this was 1992, guys.
Hey.
Yeah, Super Bowling Jagos. That's right. Hey, we don't get this in the US. We do. It did come out in the US. Skater die vibes. Yeah, it's got very
Yeah.
like 90 vibes to it. Yeah, and then the main like gameplay was called Turkey Bowl because the guy that was hosting the tournament was a turkey. Right? So there's got to be some like lore in Super Bowling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just remember this game like being just so flavorful. The music was good. It's overall just a good vibes of a game. So not too much on it, just I enjoyed it. And another three other games that came out this day, right before 4th of July. Vampire Rain on the 360 in 2007. You guys remember Vampire Rain on the 360?
Nope.
Probably not. Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy on the 3DS in 2013. Think of DDR, right? With Final Fantasy music, but for your hands, right? Not for your feet. So that's a good one to take a look into. And also Warcraft 3, The Reign of Chaos came out on PC in 2002. That was a big deal. Warcraft 3 was probably the what really elicited the rebirth of StarCraft. right? That pushed that notion of StarCraft. And also, fun fact, Warcraft 3, Defense of the Ancients mod is the reason why we have League of Legends now. So we're not going to talk about, the legalities of why,
Defense Ancients, Dota.
yeah, Dota. But League of Legends is what they not, I'm not gonna say stole, but they took the inspiration from that, Dota to create League of Legends. And this is why Blizzard has a stick up their butt when they're like, if you make anything on any of our creative modes, we own that. It's because of that. That's why they're so angsty about that now, because League of Legends occurred. They could have been them, right? So, aka they just got greedy in the end of it. So, and let me pull up Theater Rhythm here if you guys. Spell this. Yeah. So literally, it is just DDR with cute Final Fantasy characters. And if you like Final Fantasy music, check it out. It was originally on the 3DS, but now you can get it on your PS4, I believe. And it's got like every Final Fantasy song, so it's fun. So this is the what do you call this? I think the Final Fantasy VII battle theme. I love how like Noctis and Prompto are there also just randomly.
Just random Final Fantasy 15 characters back in Midgarland.
Yeah, it is on Switch, Jagos, for sure. Yeah, so check that out. And then let's see here. Oh, I'm gonna show you guys Vampire Rain. You guys might be like, this was like an action game that was notorious. Yeah, worst 360 game ever.
Oh, good
360.
Lord.
This was I don't know if it was actually shovelware, but like it definitely wasn't up there on quality. It's the same. It's like Splinter Cell with like vampires. It's really weird. And then I don't even know how to explain it. It's like
I was about to say, all right, who stole some of the character models for freaking Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 4?
it definitely is like it feels like Splinter Cell. Okay. You know what it is? If Nightmare Creatures and Windback had a baby, isn't that a weird combination?
Yes, that is.
Right? But this was I think for a while exclusive on the 360. And then eventually had like a release on the PS3 as like a complete edition or something. Yeah, but yeah, Squall, this was not a good game. Matter of fact, at the time, this was one of the games I was like, I want to play this game because it's trash.
It's like at for a while it was exclusive to the 360. That's where it should have stayed.
Yeah, Japanese game. What company did Vampire Rain? Let's see. Fire. Pretty sure it was Artoon, developed by Artoon. Who did that? And it was like published by like AQ or something. AQ Interactive, Ignition Entertainment on the PS3. Yeah, not great. Clearly compelling gameplay. It's clearly a stealth game, right? But like also at the same time, how are you gonna make a vampire game that you have to avoid the vampires? Like every game we've been playing, we've been slaying them back and forth, like Castlevania, right? And all that. Now we're gonna be like, we're gonna avoid vampires. It's kind of weird. Even Blade didn't avoid vampires. Anyway, moving on. All right, 7-4. We got ourselves another classic title, Salamander, or aka Life Force in the US. I was trying to pull up the. There you go. It's got pretty much the same box art. I think we did check this out with this, what it would look like, and cinematic art. 2 spaceships blasting through the belly of a giant salamander. right? Which was the world that we were invading. So, Ace, have you played Life Force first of all?
Only like a couple times.
Okay. So in when I was a kid, right? Life Force, first of all, had a metal ass cover. This cover was so sick. The Konami covers were godlike, right? So
Yeah.
I rented it and I was playing it solo because only child, didn't have any siblings. But whenever a buddy would come over, we'd play Life Force together. Had the Konami code, had 30 lives in it too, right? Super cool. Um, and then here I'll show you some gameplay chat. But like, this is interesting because like this is something a kid wasn't. Maybe James wasn't smart enough to notice it, but I'll show you and I'll ask chat if you guys notice it as well. So I'm not gonna do arcade long play, but check this out after this ad is over.
Because of course, YouTube has
Right.
ads.
All right. So here's Life Force. Here's the first stage. So I'm playing this. I'm like, okay, cool. It's like a spaceship shoot 'em up. And it's a Nintendo game, of course. I was like 5, 6 years old. When I was first playing this. Super cool. You power up your ship. You get all these abilities, right? And then you get to. I'll show you like what's interesting is really the backgrounds, right? Look at this, super cool. Like the biological like stage. It's growing, right? And Ace, you tell me something if you're noticing a theme here, right? Okay, you got teeth. You got
It's I haven't played Life Force, but I have played Gradius.
yep, yep. So and then let me get to the end of the boss. Right, we'll get to right here. I remember being so salty dying from that thing because that's like the last thing that kills you before you get to the boss. And here I'll show you. Here shows you the boss here. Oh, it's Gradius.
Yep.
Yes, Gradius is the grandpapa of Salamander for sure. Okay, so here's the boss. And it had a really creepy music too. Like when I was a kid, I was like, "Oh my god, this is scary." So I just from what I remember. And they're gonna creep it all over you.
And it
Arms
still
cut.
is pretty unsettling dealing with a disembodied brain with tentacles.
Yeah, I always thought of Krang when I was a kid. Remember me of Krang. And then here it comes. Look at that.
It's like this is evil Krang.
Okay. Okay. Did you notice anything about that stage? So I'll go back. Starts here. Goes here. Goes here. There. There. And then eventually to the boss. What did you notice?
Then like the background parallax layer is just fading out.
Okay. So I didn't realize this till I was older, right? But the box art is a huge hint to what I'm talking about. So the teeth,
Of course.
right? The teeth is a depiction of the head, right? And the boss is the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So I never realized this when I was a kid, but you're actually going inside this thing and killing it from the inside. And every stage is a body part of the giant salamander. And so and I was like, why is it called Life Force? Right? So technically your two ships, Vic Viper 1 and 2, you are the virus trying to kill this thing from the inside. Because like some stages will be like there's a stage where like you fight the skull, right? And I think like there's also like like a dragon, but at the end of it the last boss is a giant heart, like a planet, which is the life force of said snake, I guess. Look at that. And I was like, oh wow, I never really thought we were inside a giant snake and we were killing it from the inside. Because when you beat the game, there's like a Star Fox escape scene like this, right? You're trying to escape without dying,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a little cutscene at the end here. And this is keep in mind, guys. This is why this is super interesting to me is because this is a Nintendo game, and like narratives back then didn't really exist unless they like wrote it to you in a story, and these were all subtle hints. Yeah, and you come out of it, right? Now it was you notice it was like a green planet. So my theory is that this snake is coiling around the planet. Yeah. So that
That's
was like man, that's a deep like cut.
right.
But it was just really interesting that like you're the bad guy because you're actually an invading force trying to kill this thing from the inside. Right. So it was super interesting. So anyway, that's my salamander conspiracy theory. Two other games were released also this day. Like I said, slow times for gaming. Raid Shadow Legends on the Android in 2018. And if you don't know you don't know what Raid Shadow Legends is, you've never watched a YouTube video in the year 2010. That was a commercial everywhere. Matter of fact, if we choose to, this stream could be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm telling you that right now. We could be. I just never applied for it.
Oh my god.
Right. Also, if you like card games like Magic, also like Digimon and Pokemon, they released Teppen on the Android in 2019. Did you ever play Teppen on your phone?
No.
Yeah. So I'll put up Teppen on the screen here. Um, you
But I
should. I know, like I'm kind of anti phone games, right? But Teppen is actually a Capcom trading card game.
I was about to say I haven't played it, but I have been, keeping an eye out for the artwork from the cards.
Yes, sir.
I,
It's super easy to play. So, and it's completely free. So, if you're bored, if somehow you're just stuck and you have no games to play for any reason, Teppen is where it's at. So now Ryu's fighting against a Rathalos. So the premise here is to deplete life, and you see how there's a blue meter and a red meter that's like moving to left to right.
Mhm.
If that blue meter somehow touches the avatar over here, it depletes life. But these cards do stuff very simple, power, defense, and they have abilities too, right? Um, it was very popular. I think in when it first released in 2019, 2020, but it really dropped off after that. You know, I think the end of it was actually COVID, and I think people really wanted physical cards as well because the artwork's really really cool.
Yeah.
And they just never made any opportunity for purchase to those cards, even as art cards. Like that Leon card right there, super cool looking. You know, and I think was it a mix of Capcom and Namco? I think it was purely just like Capcom because I saw Mega Man in there
Yeah.
also as well.
Tekken was purely Capcom.
Okay, yeah, that's Teppen. And I mean, there's right now the market's filled with that kind of stuff, so
It's Capcom Hearthstone.
that's facts. That's facts. All right, man. We're nearing the last day here on the 5th. And before we send you on a rant, because I know this is your game, let me just announce the other games that were released that day. Nights into Dreams on the Saturn in 1996 in Japan. Resident Evil Survivor 2, Code Veronica in the arcade. I do want to see gameplay of this, if there is gameplay of this online. Soul Calibur 2 also came out in 2002 in Japan. Fury on the PC and PS4 in 2016. Great game. I don't know if you played Fury, Ace.
Mhm.
Like I call it Afro Samurai with a laser sword. Super cool game. And a really weird game that I have on my two playlists, Euro Kill, the Calumnation games. So I don't know if you ever heard of that game, but it's a bullet hell game mixed with a wait for it novel, like visual novel.
Hmm.
All right. Let me show you, sir, real quick, because you doubt me. And I too was like, "What are you talking about? That is two genres that should not be together." But I tell
like
you,
what?
it
Like what
it
in the
is a
world
real
happens
thing.
with this?
It it is a real thing, sir. So there it is. Look how cool that looks.
Okay.
All right, and then you got the bullet hell game right there, and then like somewhere along the lines, and I don't think I see it over here, it becomes a visual novel. You just like start like it becomes like Guilty Gear, where you just start listening to them talk and talk about lore and the story of a bullet hell game. Yeah, Squall's like bullet hell visual novel. I'm in. Yeah, you got two of everything. I was like on a bullet hell trend for a while, and I was like looking for like unique bullet hell games, right? And I came across this one, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" And I was like, "Okay, it's half visual novel, half bullet hell." So anyway, check that out, guys. Euro Kill, Calmination games. So should be pretty interesting if you like that kind of stuff. But yes, you heard the intro, right? It's one of the swankiest games, I would say, to ever release in 2012. I too picked it up day one, just like yourself, from the makers of Bayonetta, which also Bayonetta is a guest character in the game as well. Platinum really brought the heat with Max Anarchy or Anarchy Reigns, because this was their sequel to Hell World or Mad World, right? Ish.
I believe this was basically supposed to be a spiritual successor to Mad World,
Spiritual successor. Okay.
or a spin-off, but not a direct sequel, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it's a beat 'em up. Like long story short, it's a beat 'em up. But tell us is why this game's awesome. I'll pull up some gameplay.
Why? Why is Anarchy Reigns awesome? Do y'all have all night?
Take notes, class. Show and tell.
Okay, so let's just start. Let's just start with the visuals. I mean, take a quick look at that cover art right there. Like, for the folks that have actually played Mad World, oh yeah, you're definitely gonna recognize Jack right off the bat. Goggles, the slick back silver hair, the chainsaw hand, sorry, chainsaw arm. I mean, just looking at the characters there, it all oozes style. It's like everything Platinum Games dialed up to 11. And then we get onto the gameplay itself. And the gameplay, like the mechanics in Anarchy Reigns, is very simple. You know, you've got your movement, you've got your jumps, you've got your jumps, you've got light and heavy attacks, you've got grapples. You can interact with various items. It's like the distillation of everything that you like seeing in beat 'em ups, but in 3D. The music, absolutely, like the music in Anarchy Reigns is not only is it as it's iconic for the game, but I think the best way I can describe it is that the music in Anarchy Reigns is very much, you know, it's as much a character as
Hmm.
the music in Killer Instinct is for that game.
Yeah, I never really put that connection together. But every character has their own soundtrack. Like when you fight them in a boss fight, they pop their own song on. You know, from what I remember.
Now, like honestly, if I were to just if you were to just sit down and have a conversation about Anarchy Reigns, I could probably go for I could most definitely go for the rest of the podcast. But what I can also do is just point folks to the review that Thomas Duder and I did for it, and that'll be a great hour to kill right there if you want to hear the two of us just going absolutely ballistic over Anarchy Reigns. But it's a game that even even amongst the even amongst the library of beat 'em ups that exist to this day, um, it's still it still has a cult following, but unfortunately, it doesn't get as much conversation. It doesn't take up as much of the conversation as say something like Streets of Rage, right? And it's not to say that it should so much as just it deserves more attention and it deserves a lot better than what it got from Sega.
Mm. Well, this game had like zero marketing. Let's just be real. Like, I think the only reason I knew about this game was probably from you. Because I do remember like it was just me, you, and Duder that bought it at the local store. um, yeah, I like didn't know anything about Mad World, didn't know anything about um, this game, but like I think he showed me like gameplay or talked about it, and I was like, I'll check it out, and I was like, oh yeah, this game looks really cool, you know, and I think that's why word of mouth is important. Talk to people that have played the game, not just review games, right? Because you don't know when something is like maybe your beat 'em ups aren't for you, but then you talk to somebody that's like, well, I don't really play video games, but I love beat 'em ups, right? So they're gonna rate this game much higher than your average game. Um, you know, wasn't there? I feel like there was a game in like the early 2000s that was in the arcade, and it was like a beat 'em up arena fighter that was either made by Sega or Capcom. Do you remember that? But it was like a completely unique like title. There was no like it wasn't Spawn, it wasn't Heavy Metal because I know those were IPs that were released in the arcades during that time. That had the arena battle thing, but there was like a Sega game I think that was an arena fighter. So,
I
uh,
can't remember it for the life of me.
yeah, but do you kind of remember like seeing it in your head?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Like
That's
right
funny
now,
because I
now it's
type
gonna
in
be the rest of the evening.
Heavy Metal was one of them, but it wasn't Heavy Metal. I know Heavy Metal was there. I know Spawn was the other one. Let's see here.
Like I seriously can't think of it. If I somehow happen across gameplay of it, I'll likely recognize it then. But
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Sega because it had like a specific look to it.
yeah, can't think of it for the life of me though.
Every time I type in
But
arena, they keep giving me Fighting Vipers. It was definitely on like Matt McMuscle's weird video game like episode. Chad, if you guys know what it is, it's not Power Stone, it's not guys. It was in the arcade, and I think it was made by Sega. It wasn't made by. Uh,
well, I mean, if anything, we could probably just go back and look up Mac McMuscle's channel and just see what 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 games was it, and then just go down the list. Eventually find it. But coming back to Anarchy Reigns though, like you know, a criticism of Anarchy Reigns could be that folks would see that this game is style style over substance, but there is plenty of substance to be had. There's plenty of substance to be found. You know what I mean? It's really a matter of if you feel it's worth giving a shot. That's really all it comes down to. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, people should go out and find any way they can to play Anarchy Reigns. Um, what I can say is the game is fun. The game is oozing with style from start to finish, and the irreverent style and the irreverent characterizations in the game. It makes for a fun and engaging time.
I found it. So it makes sense because this Anarchy Reigns was published by Sega, right? So I guess this is why it makes sense. Uh, Here it goes. Let me show you. Let me show you. Look at that guy. It's called Spike Out. Final edition. And I was like, this is one of the beauties of this week in gaming history is like we watch gameplay and we're like, I swear I've seen this game before this game was released. And look at this. This was like Anarchy Reigns like light. And it's made by Sega, just very similar to Anarchy Reigns, right? Well, they published it, but Platinum Games developed it. But it's got the same kind of like DNA formula. It's not going to be as detailed and aesthetically pleasing, but arcadish beat 'em up.
So let's say the bones are there.
The bones are there. There you go. Yeah, this is the game I was thinking about, and I was like, man, I feel like I've seen this game before. But yeah, there we go. We learned something today, class. But yeah, Ace, try to put your link on that review of Anarchy Reigns. Put it in the chat. Let the people know. Because I do remember watching those that era of the hooligans, and it was really fun. And then we'll have Duder back on, and maybe we'll do a nostalgia episode or something. And I can bring that Asian kid back on, so that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Have ourselves a little reunion.
Oh, damn. We reviewed Anarchy Reigns. Like the videos that we did for this, the two parts to that review were published April 19th, 2013.
12 years. 12 years.
It has been a hot minute.
That's crazy because I was 12 years younger. Me is crazy to think about. To me as well.
All right. Yeah, give me just a quick second, but I am going to be putting those. I'll be putting those links in the chat shortly.
Yeah, pop them in the chat. All right. So we'll move on to our next segment here is now playing. If it's your first time here, this is pretty much the part of the show where we talk about what are we playing these days. Because man, I am playing some stuff. And if you follow Ace or this channel, we stream some games, and he streams more than I do, but he has a wide variety of a library of games that he plays. So it's kind of funny because looks like you've are also playing a game that I started playing.
Yeah, actually, it's part. I jumped back into Invisible because I saw that you had picked it up for your A to Z challenge.
Yep. And I updated H because I forgot what was H with Hades, right? And it's my first time playing it, and I know it's been out for a while. Hades 2 is like in early access, and
as well,
right? And I was like immediately like, I get why this game is fun. I get why this game is loved. I get why it was like I get ABC, I get ABCD, right? But I thought about you because I just unlocked the gloves.
Yes,
and I was like, yo, this is a sick weapon. All right. Uh,
The
I,
exact the exact weapons that got me into the game.
right, right. So let's real quick. Here's what do you plan on this list right now?
So for what I'm what I've been playing recently, uh, I actually just finished sitting down and playing through my first playthrough of Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Like I literally hit credits on it earlier today.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely fantastic game. Like Star Ocean: The Divine Force is one that I feel is rather slept on. You know, I mean, Star Ocean 5, Integrity and Faithlessness, didn't get the best reception. So I feel like Star Ocean The Divine Force is not just, the 25th anniversary, celebration of the franchise, but it's also an apology for Star Ocean 5. The gameplay itself really like pulls together a lot of the refinements and a lot of the tried and true mechanics from the rest of the games over the course of the series. Everything from the different special moves that your characters can utilize to you know gauging your distances as far as how you're going to land attacks, bringing in blind sides and your rushes from Star Ocean 4. Uh, I mean, yeah, second story is pretty much going to be like the peak of the series. And Second Story R is probably the best remake I have ever seen of a game. Period. But one of the things, like the big thing that really drew me in for Star Ocean: The Divine Force, is just the characters. It goes back to the dual protagonist setup of Star Ocean 2, and Raymond is just great. Raymond
You
is
vibe with
just
Raymond?
he yeah he is a I figured it out. Ray is basically sci-fi Terry Bogard.
Man, I'm looking at him right now and I'm like, is this like Star Ocean's version of Shulk? Like from this, like, look at that. Get the mullet and everything.
Like the mullet might take a little bit of getting used to, but nah, let's talk. Like Ray is one of the Ray is one of my favorite RPG protagonists
It's because he's
because he's
wearing gloves.
because even in the midst of all the sci-fi shenanigans, even in the midst of all the fantasy shenanigans going on once you land on the planet, in the midst of it all, he is that setting's equivalent of your working stiff who gets caught up in a whole bunch of shit that he did not expect to be caught up on in the midst of the delivery.
When you say it that way, the first character that comes into my brain when you say it working stiff that gets caught up in everything is Dingo from Zone of the Enders 2.
Bingo, you got it.
Like, bro, I'm just a miner. What's stop attacking me?
That is pretty much it.
Right on. That looks super cool. I mean, it holds up. What year did this come out?
This one came out in 2022.
2022. Okay. So you just beat that game, right?
Yeah, I just beat it. I was playing it and streaming it for a while, and then after a while I just stopped. So I'm kind of at that point where I'm just going back, revisiting the rest of my backlog either on stream or off, and just trying to catch up on stuff that I didn't have a chance to finish.
Yeah. Well, I for one have rediscovered Hades, or finally has discovered Hades. Like Ace. I remember watching Ace play this on his channel when it was like first out, and this was a while back, right? It was just on my. I never played it, but everybody's talking about it. I remember Ace doing a breakdown of the weapons as well. So I decided to play it for myself not too long ago because I'm taking a break from Tekken. The game drives me crazy. But I wanted a game to pick up and play, right? And this game has the DNA of a old school retro game. And what I mean by that isn't from the simplicity of it. Matter of fact, I don't think it's simple at all. I think in theory it's simple, but there's a lot of depth in this game for sure. And I thought it would get repetitive, but it for some reason just does not get repetitive, right? Because you don't know what to expect. And
I
long yeah, go
I I call I call Hades Dummy's first roguelike.
ahead.
I am the dummy.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I know it's a roguelike, right? But at the same time, like I feel like it's that like feeling of playing like a Dark Souls game where you know you can beat it, but you just weren't good enough. But you're like, if you know you just did this thing different, you can beat the stage. Like it just teases you enough that you know you can you're able to beat this. It's not frustratingly difficult, right?
Yep.
So you want to give it another shot. And here's what's really special about this game. What I'm noticing, right? To me, I was brought back to the era of like Nintendo, where I would be playing Contra, have 3 lives because I don't have 30 lives yet, and I just wasn't good. And so I get to like level 4 and I die, run out of lives. Then I play it again. I'm like, okay, I remember this pattern. I remember what I had to do here, right? And Hades kind of brought me back to that. Not only that, it's kind of like to me it's like a celebration of old school video game gameplay where like right now the big thing is like big cutscenes, like big cinematic feel. Hades doesn't really have that. It just has a solid like presentation with a lot of narrative by the cast of the game. And the special part about it is it knows that you suck. It knows that you're failing. And the story still works around you not succeeding in the gameplay. And it recognizes that you're not good, that you've died, and you're trying again. So I've never seen a lot of games do that. And so not only did it make me feel that like, I was playing a video game that I died and come back and play, like a roguelike, right? But at the same time, it's aware of itself. It knows you have to do that. So they celebrated it and make by making it a part of the game. Like the game knows you're not going to beat this on one run, right? So they revolved like the way you unlock things, the way you talk to the characters, the way the
It
protagonist
knows
acts.
the game knows you're not going to beat it on one run,
Yeah.
but it has been beaten on the first run, and there is actually content. There is actually content that happens if you, by some twisted miracle, actually wind up beating the game on your first attempt, clearing all 4 areas.
Not only that, what if you chose not to have any boons? But that's impossible. because because like you have to get a boon as soon as you leave, right? So that's the interesting part about this game is the endless like possibilities of what is going to be my result. And I think that's what drives like your next run. Will it be the randomness of it is like part of it, but also I think there's enough challenge, but also like not, but also enough variety in like how you want to play the game. Like honestly, I had fun with the shields, right? I was playing Captain America, I was blocking all our projectiles, but at the same time, I was loving the offensive like maneuvers of the gloves, but like it's just what mood am I in to kill, right?
Right. And yeah, it's honestly like everything that we've just brought up from how it integrates and in a lot of ways celebrates that sort of tenacity that you have to build up in order to keep trying, different attempts, you know, trying so many attempts in order to actually clear the game. Between
Mm-hmm.
that, how unique each of the weapons feels, and how unique even the same weapon would feel once you start unlocking the different aspects. And then there's on top of that the different boons that you can get for your builds. Now, take note, there is like you have. I think the only way that you can actually like go through the game without getting any boons at all would be if you started by getting one of the weapon modifications, one of the Daedalus hammers. But other than that, you will get one of the you will get a boon from one of the gods right out the gate.
Yeah. No, in the, I don't know. This game is very interesting, like in a design level. I like to talk about video game design, but like it's one of those like honestly, it feels like it should be an arcade game. Like this can easily be like insert coin. You know,
Oh yeah,
can easily be like, oh, this is Gauntlet, right?
right.
I mean, literally is
Hey,
Gauntlet,
I was thinking the same thing.
right? But it's like, but they done it in a way that was like, oh, let's add a narrative to it, an interesting, compelling story. You know, where it rewards you to talk to the characters, right? And it rewards you for like trying again. Like everything you do in this game, it makes you want to do more of it, right? And so like, and that's the most interesting part about it, because in a lot of like these games where you die, repeat, rinse, and repeat, you get frustrated and you're like, I know what to expect. I'm gonna skip this cutscene because I've already seen it, right? But this game doesn't. It's refreshing every time.
It's it's really mastered the carrot and stick approach.
Yeah, 100%. And with that said, is I'm also glad they did not exploit that to the gamer, because they could have easily kind of carrot and stick us with content, carrot stick us with other factions of this game, like energy. Like imagine limiting the amount of attempts you have in a day, right? They could have done that. They could have somehow monetized that, but they didn't. So props to Super Giant Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think this is why games like games like indie games like this need to exist, because you know we just want to play a good video game. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars. It can't, you know, it doesn't have to be crazy high end graphics. It's about the art. It's about the look, right? It's about what you do with it. You know, we just don't. We're just tired of like paying for games that are not complete. To the expectation of the game is like gonna sell X amount of copies because of how much money they made or put into the game, right? So you just get more creative. So, and yeah, and also the only other game that I'm gonna really be playing is the next season of Diablo 4, because I got that Asian kid to play with me on Wednesdays on Diablo 4 now. So we're gonna be conquering the sins of the Horadrim, which is season 9 of Diablo 4. And every season, you know, chat, I always roll a different character, so it's always fresh and new. So check that out whenever I jump on play.
That's
The other one,
fun to check.
sorry, go ahead, Ace.
No, I said that's gonna be fun to check out.
Yeah, yeah, and I tell him like, you're gonna be on stream, dog. He's like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's just really funny to play with him. But I also see a Grandia 2 here remaster. I didn't even know they had a remaster for Grandia 2. How is that coming along? Let me pull that up.
Yeah, actually, what what they did was they actually had like when Grandia One and Two HD remasters when they released, they actually released in like a collection, so it was one and two, both of them together. But
Okay.
I think I got two separately on Steam.
I know they just
But
released the
yeah,
Lunar remaster. So
yep. But yeah, since we were talking about awesome stuff that came out on the Dreamcast, hint hint Marvel too. Uh, the Dreamcast had a surprisingly solid lineup of RPGs as well. Like Grandia Two is a perfect example. Skies of Arcadia is another one. But just sitting down and getting back into Grandia Two after having played it so long ago on the Dreamcast, it was like coming back to revisit an old friend.
I like that.
Of course, it also helps that the main character is voiced by the OG Leonardo.
Nice.
But yeah, like if you're looking for just like a straight up 2000s JRPG, I mean, with the character so surly you almost hate him, and you got a priestess or a healer, white mage type character who can't stand him.
Oh yeah, that's the trope.
But then you've got really slick sort of, an alternate take on the active time battle turn-based gameplay, then Grandia 2 is definitely the one for you.
Is it ATB? I thought it was like Tails, where it's like actually like alive.
No, it's more ATB because that little action gauge down in the bottom right, that's your
Yeah.
that's your order gauge. But you know, when it actually comes time for you to attack, you know, you have your normal attacks, which usually wind up being like 1, 2, or 3 hit combos depending on the weapon. Or you can also actually do
Okay.
you know special attacks, or you can actually select to have your character do a critical hit. And criticals don't have 100% accuracy, but if they hit, it actually pushes your opponent back on the action gauge. Or if they're in the command segment where they're actually charging up to do an attack, and you tag them with a
Yeah.
critical, it'll cancel their turn.
Ooh. Okay. So it's like Star Renegades. That's cool. That's
Yeah,
kind of funny. Yeah. All right. Well, here I am thinking that Star Renegades was like, oh, this unique battle system that's already been out since 2000. And there you go. And you probably were like, oh, this is like Grandia 2, and I was talking about
yeah.
Star Renegade
Like in the
one
back of
day.
my mind, wait, why does that seem so familiar to me?
Yeah. See that, and then this, like I said, this is why I love talking about stuff like this, because it brings us back, and it gives us exposure to other games that we could be playing that you never heard of, right? So,
That's it.
you know,
It's a shared learning experience for everybody.
yeah, I feel
And
like
now,
yeah,
pause for a
there's
second.
yeah,
Now, here's what I was talking about. So you see, like the gauge down there by the menu, and that whole meter right there is basically the timer bar, right?
okay,
So like in Final Fantasy 7, how you have the ATB bar that fills up.
yeah,
That's technically it, but everyone's moving along the same bar at different speeds based on their stats. Once you hit
okay, gotcha.
once you hit the comm section, that's when you actually get to select what move you're going to do, and then from comm to act, that's when it basically plays out.
Okay, so you
But
even have time to decide. That's crazy.
but if you use a critical attack and you nail an enemy that is like in that red section, then you'll knock them. You'll basically beat them back to command selection.
Okay, push him back, so you can literally stun lock somebody.
Yep, the same thing can happen to you as well.
Yeah,
Do
that's funny.
not get it twisted. I have had moments where like 3 enemies hit me at the same time with attacks and spells, and characters would just get demolished.
Oof. Sounds like a boss fight.
So I was
Sounds like a
like,
boss fight.
oh, that kind of sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna have to start back from the same point again.
It sounds like a boss fight and also a good clip on YouTube. Pretty sure it's happened already. If we Google Grandia 2 worst moments or something,
Right,
that'd be,
Granny 2 gone wrong.
yeah, pretty sure somebody has that. Do you have any upcoming games that you are looking forward to coming out or playing?
As far as stuff that's coming out, uh, I, one game that I can really think of that's actually later this month. I think it's Ninja Gaiden Ragebound.
Oh, that come out this month?
Yeah, I forget.
I was hoping there was a demo.
Yeah, I forget whether it's. I'll have to double check. It's either Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi, but one of those 2 games is coming out this month.
Let's see.
Let's see, but other than that, I mean, there's still the other stuff I've been playing. There's Hades, there's Wendigo Blue, which I'm waiting for the next content drop for that. Uh, Absalom looks pretty dope.
What? Which
So I'm
one?
definitely keeping an eye out for that. Other than that, though, it's definitely going to be just digging back through the backlog some more. Trying to figure out. Well, not trying to figure out, just going back through, picking up stuff that I haven't finished yet, and playing through that. I mean, I still got Day Minix Machina to finish up. I still got Astral Chain to finish up. I mean, no, I even I even copped a copy of freaking Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition for my PS3. So I'm probably gonna sit down and start playing that.
Nice, nice.
And then there's
I
also
would love to. I'd love to partake in that and be like, all right, with the choices. See that?
oh boy, you know what? Yeah, that's what I'll probably wind up doing. If I sit down and I can get, if I can get everything going with the capture card and sit down and start playing Dragon Age Origins, I will leave it up to chance and chat decide what happens.
Yeah, or like some sort of like maybe like a maybe a coin
Randomizer.
flipper or something. Yeah, randomizer that you can like pick from and be like, oh my god, like a
Like
chaos run.
it's like why did I even allow this?
A chaos run would be fun because you're like, oh no, why?
Or,
You know,
or a chaos run on Hades.
that's true. That's
Well,
true.
no,
Chaos
a
run
chaos
Hades.
run on Hades, or seeing as how the fourth is coming up, the next content drop for Warriors Abyss is going to be dropping too.
I saw that. It's a big
Yeah.
one too. It's Ninja Gaiden.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, that's cool. And also I saw their X post on it, and I
Mhm.
was like, bro, come on, they stole my line. I said Year of the Ninja, and they put hashtag Year of the Ninja on there. But it's all good. It's all good. I'm inspired.
Oh, D6 for maximum hilarity. Oh yeah.
Nah, that should be fun. Yeah, I thought about that too because I have the Ultimate Edition I think like on free, like on PSN Plus or something.
Mhm.
So looking forward to. Well, first of all, I got to finish Mass Effect trilogy before I get in. Yeah, it's one of those things where I do want to play Veilguard just to be like, okay, experience it. So I can honestly be like, I played it, it's not good. Like not to not be like to be more creditable about my opinion, right? So, but I do want to kind of play the OG and experience it and be like, this is what they created now and compare the two. More
Mhm.
educational than it is enjoyable. So, yeah, have fun with that. Yeah, and that's kind of
Yeah.
that's why I'm not looking forward to it. But all right. All right, well, it's cooling down, and I'm okay with this because we finally got it to the last level here with the final boss. All right. It's a new segment on the channel here, of course, giving you the hot wisdom of the final boss in the show because there's nothing else more better than a devil that is.
Now I'm motivated.
That's right. his his Virgil is the most motivated anti-hero, I guess I would say. He's not. I guess he's more antagonist, but he's a yeah. But he's a great character and he's very motivated. So, all right. So as you know, the the title for tonight's podcast was "Respect the Cooldown," and I'm glad it's cooling down because the sun is finally set here in beautiful Bellingham, Washington. But there's a lot of cooldowns in a variety of different games that we play. For example, in games, abilities, spells, and ultimate moves all have cooldowns because power isn't infinite. In life, it's the same. So you can't constantly spam your strongest moves without being burnt out. All right. So check this out. All right, guys. So tonight I do want to talk about something every gamer should know, but we tend to forget in real life, and that is cooldowns. In your favorite game, whether it's Overwatch, Diablo, or Final Fantasy, your strongest abilities have a cooldown. You can't just spam your ultimate or your strongest heal forever. You have to wait, reset, and breathe. And real life is exactly the same. Now, you might think that you have to be at 100% all the time grinding, right? Working, hustling, all the above. But even the strongest warriors need to rest, right? And recuperate. Even the most OP builds can't go full throttle without eventually overheating. It's true. I play Diablo, all right? You eventually run out of mana, spirit, energy, all the above. Taking time off, of course, is not weakness. No matter whoever tells you that, no matter what motivational guru tells you no days off, that's crazy. Take some time off, and it's not weakness. Don't feel bad for taking a break. Resting isn't defeat; it's your real life cooldown. It's what lets you come back stronger and ready to hit the next encounter harder than before. Even I have to cool down on Hades because it gets warm in here, and I want to get my mind straight and focused before I, recuperate from my loss. So the next time you feel guilty for taking a break, remember you're just respecting your own cooldown. And when you're ready to pop that ultimate again, you'll do it with more focus, more power, and more heart. As your final boss reminder, here's what I'm going to say. It's not about going nonstop. It's not about it's about knowing when to recharge so you're always ready to win the next fight. All right? So, with that said, what's your favorite way to cool down, chat? In IRL, what they say. And if your life has a visible cooldown bar, what what would you see right now? How about you, Ace? What do you think about that?
My favorite cooldown method is real simple. There is a park right out behind my apartment. I take a step out back. I take a couple of laps, and I don't even run or sprint those laps. I just stroll, people watch, look at the clouds, take in the air.
Take it all in. Yep.
Getting out in nature, even for just a little bit, that's my cooldown.
Yeah. Fresh air is so underrated, honestly. Like I work in an office, right? And even the company's like, go out and take a walk. Like even they know like it's healthy for you to do that.
Yeah.
And there's just something different about fresh air. When it hits you, you're just like, I'm free. Like you like yeah.
Don't touch grass.
Yeah,
Seriously.
literally go touch grass. Yeah.
Nah, especially on those days where it's like either very lightly raining or a rainstorm has just passed, and you step outside and you just take in that first deep breath of just ozone, and it's like the smell of fresh ozone and concrete after a rainstorm it's like nothing else out there.
It's one of the benefits of being in the Pacific Northwest and Bellingham. We have that privilege of the nature here. Because I would argue that I probably wouldn't enjoy the same thing in Chicago, right? Because it's so flat, it's so humid, right?
Again, that when I was living down in back when I was living in SoCal, I I'd get out and I'd find a nearby park, or I would go down and visit visit the wash, visit the riverbed, literally right on the edge of town.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually I don't think I mentioned this in the chat before, but I actually got my fishing license. And your city boy GQ went lake fishing like a couple of weeks back. And I'm like, I'm actually practicing casting now, right?
Mm-hmm.
See how far I can throw it. And it's actually that part of it's pretty fun too. I'm noticing that the biggest annoying thing is losing the hook. That's like so annoying to me. So, but yeah, it's one of those things where I have to practice and learn from experience, right? So that's my way of cooling down. Just sit by a quiet lake, throw the pole in there, maybe pick some snacks up, some drinks, and just sit there in the sereneness and stillness of the lake, and then tug the pole a little bit. And if I get a catch, it's fun. And if I get one, I throw it back in and do it again. I get it. I get why fishing's so popular in video games, guys. I get it now. So, and with that said, that is our cooldown for the night. We appreciate you guys coming in here as always. Andre, Squall, you were there. I think I saw Chop in there as well, maybe. I know Jagos was there. Appreciate you guys as always. Well, you guys have a safe, fun, and healthy weekend. Well, till next week. Maybe we'll bring in the chaos with Duder next week. How about that? And if I could get that Asian kid, I'll bring him in here as well.
Speaking of bringing in the chaos with Duder next week, just as a quick aside, next week if you bring him in, ask him about the 4th of July and the legend of Johnny Rocket Crotch.
I'm just gonna message him that right now. What is this? What does legend of Johnny Rocket Crotch mean? and he's just gonna probably be like, LO.
But aside from
All
that,
right.
though, everybody, again, it was great having y'all here in class. We're looking forward to seeing you on the other side of the 4th of July holiday. Have a safe weekend. Have a great weekend. And until next time, it's Blazing Ace Nelson and your headmaster, GQAzndood, here at the Gaming Academy. Class dismissed.
Y'all have a good
See you on the
one.
next one.
Cool off. Cool down.